Hi, and welcome to another Bentley Tech EDU. Today, our main focus is going to be the Effects tab in Adobe Lightroom. Before I get started, I want to show you some of the pitfalls of Adobe Lightroom Clarity and Dehaze buttons. What does it do? What it does is it allows clouds to really become more than what they used to be. So what it does is it pulls out the contrast in an image. What I'm going to do is just kind of show you where I'm at. This is an already existing image, and I'm hitting the Effects tab, and you can see it's got Texture, Clarity, Dehaze, and Vignette. Now the Vignette we'll touch on later in all of these, but please notice my Clarity is currently bumped up to 49, and my Dehaze is bumped up to 55. If I was to pinch and zoom in on the image, look at that. That is literally the dehaze and the clarity destroying my image. So we got to be aware that when you're dealing with low light situations, these buttons can completely destroy your work. Let me go all the way back to what it looked like before all adjustments. That's what it looked like before all of the adjustments. That's really dark. This is me working on it afterwards. Let's go back to the open. And there is my Lightroom version. I hope you guys can see just how I affected it, both in a good way and a bad way. I'm going to get out of this particular picture and escape out of it. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this time with a picture of Burbank High School. It's kind of the same idea, okay? So I'm using Clarity and Dehaze as sliders to bring forward the clouds, to make the clouds really pop. What I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go back into my Effect tab, and you'll notice my Dehaze, I cranked it all the way to 93. Why did I do it? I needed to get those clouds. That's what the photo looked like at the very beginning. And that's crazy. Like, you don't see any of it. But by pushing the dehaze all the way up, I get this crazy looking sky. But look right there. The sky is just filled with gross pixel data. This is because the computer is interpreting what's going on in the image. And honestly, this is good enough to fool most people. But I'm going to always recommend that you try to avoid this kind of adjustment on your Clarity tab. So I guess what I'm really telling you is the Clarity and Dehaze, while highly effective, also have huge issues with them. Let's just do a quick version on this. Let's see what we can get out of this. Again, this is probably an image which I haven't edited. This is very different than all the other pictures that we've seen. So what I'm going to do is just do a really fast, quick version on this. Let's see what we got. The Effect tab, you can see it's been bumped up. What I want you to really look at is right here in the sky. Now, I haven't cranked up the numbers so much that it's pixelating and looking ugly. Can you see that? It still has a little bit in there. Watch, I'll crank this down. I haven't overdone it. But watch what happens in the cloud area as I really begin to push it. What happens is there's a glow. See in these leaves? The more you push the clarity, the more the objects in the picture get this weird white glow around them. Can you see how all of the trees and the bushes in my picture are glowing white? Now look, I go backwards, I crank it down, the clarity is down, no white outlines. I crank it up, and ta-da, ugly white lines. This is a total trick that people fall for every single time. But anybody who's good at Photoshop and Lightroom will always catch it. And when we see these things, we always say, ha, take a look at you. We know what you did. And then we kind of goof on you a little bit. You know what? I don't think I want to do this picture. I like it, but I don't think I want to do it. Ah, what the heck? Let's just do it. I was planning on doing the other one just to the right of it. You know, what I would like to do, let's see, have I opened this before? Let's take a look. Before the demo got set up, I always play around with each of the pictures. Yeah, it got my adjustments. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way back to open. So what we're doing on this one is it's me attempting to show you, first of all, what happens when you take a picture in landscape and how can you fix it. I go to crop and rotation. When I first got the picture, if you were in your gallery, it looked like this. And I was doing all my effects and it was in this format. Yeah, I could go like this, but there's no point in that. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to hit the rotate L and rotate R. Let's see what happens if I go rotate R. Whoops, that's not going to work. Well, I can either go back or hit it 2 more times. Right and right. Okay, that looks pretty good. Hey, you know what? You just learned something. You guys know what I do. I always hit the auto button. Gave a little bit. This picture is so popping, I don't really need to go into it too much. So, back to the Effects tab. The Effects tab is, we've got Light, Color, and Effects. This is where we're talking about today. Now the Texture button. The Texture slider doesn't really do much on this particular image because I have smooth petals. All right, now if it was a rock or if it was some kind of bumpy texture, I'd get a little bit. So, but we are talking about clarity and we are talking about dehaze. So I definitely want to crank those up a little bit. Again, let's just push it. Let's see what happens. I'm overdoing it. Look at the sky in the upper left corner. There were these like weird clouds in the sky. It almost looks like a fingerprint. And if you look really carefully, the image is actually starting to distort and dots and pixels are showing up. So I got to back that off. Sometimes doing these things, a little is all you need. You would think that because I'm doing a demo on clarity and dehaze, that I would just choose something that I could crank it up and go crazy on. But the truth is you can't really do that on a picture like this. It always breaks up the image and your pixel quality can become highly, highly compromised. And for clouds and making your skies like really shine, clarity and dehaze is the way to go. Let's just take a look at the last button. This is the vignette. If you go on one side, it makes like a black line. Ooh, black. Ooh. On the other side, it makes it white. It's not a line, it's just kind of like a fuzzy shape. So we're gonna go back. And there you go. I bet you could probably watch. We'll try this. Now you notice the midpoint is activated. I could switch the midpoint. Look at that. Ooh, you mean I could make it more? Yeah. Check you out. What about the feather? That's the fuzziness. You can make it a hard edge like a peephole or more fuzzy and soft, which is kind of a fun, interesting idea. I don't know that the vignette is going to help me too much. It made the upper left corner where that fingerprint thing is get a little funky. I'll stick with it just for the demo. Now you notice I haven't done any of my light and exposure effects because I've been so focused on what are the downsides of clarity and dehaze. Got to get in there. Let's do it. I'll give it a little bit of exposure. If I crank it up a little bit, I should lose a little bit of the blue sky. And if I hit it with contrast, it brings it back. What I'd like to do is make the petals really kind of glow. I want to get like a see-through quality. That's working on the background. There's clouds in the back, blacks. There's not. Ooh, that just makes the background a little darker. Moving over into vibrance, temperature, tint, and saturation. Let's see what would happen if I went into my mix tab, chose kind of a yellowy color, and cranked up the saturation on that. Here we go. That's looking pretty good. So I'm only working on that. Now you'll notice now I just cranked it up way a lot. Let's go all the way down. What do you guys think? Is it too colorful? Too powerful? You guys already know. When I'm working on color, I try to not have it be overly saturated, and I definitely try to not have too much in the way of clarity and dehaze. But you know what? I think this looks really good. This is a winner as far as social media is concerned. Does it have issues? Yeah. Did you notice this big stupid cloud from an airplane in the background? I did. the stupid chemtrail ruining my shot. And there's another one over there. For me, this poppy flower is good enough to go. California State flower, that's right, it's the California poppy. And I am done. All I got to do now is make sure that I like everything. Take a look at the holding down before, good, not the greatest. After, does the vignette work? You tell me. Give me a comment when I see you in class. All right, that's it. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to exporting first as a JPEG. Look at JPEG, largest, 100%. I hit the checkbox, getting that, so we knew we're saving it off as a JPEG. Always got to do that. And then as soon as that's done, I'm going to save it to my device. Now, definitely confirms that it's a JPEG, but if you're in my class, don't forget, please save it in Google Classroom as a JPEG. That's pretty much the story today. Don't forget, always save it to the device as soon as you're done exporting. This is taking way too long. So I'm out of here, you guys. I'm James Bentley. It's Bentley Tech EDU. You guys all have a great day.